bring a litter into the world? What are your supplies? What do you need when you're whelping puppies? And that's what it's called, is whelping puppies, not just giving birth. Yeah, so we get that question a lot. What does whelping mean?
So a lot of people don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah, when we say we're whelping.
And we're mostly doing this video because we do a lot of TikTok lives, and I feel like when we do our TikTok lives, a lot of people are like, what's in your whelping kit? We want to hear about your whelping kit. So we're just going to start directing people from our TikTok lives to come watch this, because then we don't have to repeat it 25 times.
Yeah, and then if you're a breeder too, or aspiring breeder, you can kind of get some great ideas from what we have here. We've done this a long time, and so we have some great products for you guys to check out.
Why don't we start on the bottom and work our way up?
Okay, we have this cool little thing. You can get these at Michael's. It's kind of like a craft bin, rolling craft bin.
I like mine to have wheels. I have one with wheels and one without wheels, and I always use my one with wheels.
Yep, so that's really nice to have something in there. So go ahead.
So we have a heat lamp, and with my heat lamps, they're really important. The biggest thing is you want to make sure that they're not too close to the puppies to like burn the puppies. And also a big part of your whelping box is you have your whelping box, and you want to have a part where you have warmth, and then a part where the puppies can get away from the warmth. You never want the puppies to just be stuck in heat, because if they get too hot, they need an escape, and they will crawl away from the heat. And so we put usually our heating pad and our heat lamp on the same side of our whelping box, so that then there's a spot where they can move, where there's no heat, and then they can just come and go as they please. And they'll do that from the minute that they're born. If they're too hot, they'll scoot away, and if they're cold, they'll go back to the heat.
We typically will place the heat pad underneath the blanket,
yes.
So it's not directly on the heat.
And that's why I don't keep the little pads on the heat pads, is because we already put them under a thick blanket. We want the heat to actually be able to make it through to the puppies.
And then it's easy to clean off too.
So. Sanitization purposes.
All right, the next thing that we have is we have a whole bunch of cloths here, and we've got them stacked pretty high, but we have clean cloths that, or rags, or you can even take old t-shirts and cut them up, or whatever you want to use.
We have a lot of old t-shirts cut up.
That way we're just reusing and not throwing things away. But these are used for, obviously, to clean up, but not only that, when the puppy is born, we take them and we rub them pretty vigorously and kind of suction off their face with it, and that will help kind of wake them up, get them screaming, and that's what we actually want. We want them to take that big deep breath, and we know that they're okay and alive and safe too.
Yep.
So clean them up, rub them up, and you can watch that on our lives.
Yep. And then something that I've just recently started using, a lot of people will say my mamas won't eat or drink when they're in labor, and a lot of mamas will throw up when they're in labor. So I use this new, it's called Karu Daily Dish Pumpkin Broth. And so I put this over, and it helps with the diarrhea after labor, because a lot of mamas will have diarrhea from eating placentas or whatever. And then we also have a beef broth option, and I use both of them in whelping, and that way it gives just a little bit of calories to mom. It doesn't really say how many, but it gives mom a little bit of calories for energy, and then it's also just broth, so if they throw it up, you're not cleaning up gross chunks.
And plus it's, that nice flavor that dogs like too, so if they are feeling like they don't really want to, it's an enticing thing, because we want them to drink and get fluids while they're whelping.
And keep their energy levels up, because a lot of people will pull food and water away when mamas are whelping, and they end up running out of energy. So if you can get them to drink something that just has a little bit of some substance to it, that they'll be able to keep their energy levels high. And then we also will use this Espalac formula for the mamas when they're whelping, or just goat's milk, plain goat's milk. Sometimes when they're whelping, I'll buy it, the refrigerated one from the store, or we buy the evaporated in cans and mix it up, because it has a lot of calcium in it, and they'll use that.
Okay, so later on, when the puppies are about 3 weeks or so, 2.5 to 3 weeks, we will start to kind of do the weaning process. So mom will start to feed less. They're starting to get teeth. Mom doesn't really like having to nurse with teeth. I know as a mom and I'm nursing, it's a little bit more tricky and painful. So we actually will start supplementing with this Pet-Lag puppy milk replacement. We'll mix that with water, and they'll start learning to lap that up, and then mama will be able to wean a little bit better. So eventually then we'll start mixing with the second step with their food as well. We'll grind up their food, and we'll put that in a dish, and it'll be like a puppy mush is what we call it. We kind of dip their little feet in and get them really
we
in their
can
faces.
do a whole video on that as well, like showing how we introduce that. Perfect. We also keep this on hand in case, for whatever reason, we do have to tube feed or bottle feed, because
sometimes mama's milk doesn't come in soon enough,
or you get mastitis, or there's just too many puppies and they're not gaining. Another thing that we keep in our kit is the Safeguard dewormer. We usually don't use that right off of the bat.
Usually about two weeks in.
The Safeguard I don't think we do until 5 weeks. Nemex we do at 2 weeks. And then, do you want to talk about weighing puppies really quick?
Yeah.
With our little scale.
So as soon as the puppies are born, we actually will put a collar on them. And we have so many people that ask us, why are you putting a collar on your puppies? And you shouldn't put a collar. And actually it's really important that we do. We want to be able to know each puppy individually and log each puppy's weight. So as soon as they're born, we'll weigh them. We'll put that in our computer into our Dog Breeder Pro software. And we'll say pink collar weighed 15 ounces. And then the next day we can weigh pink collar again and all of the siblings and check, did that pink collar gain, yes or no? If they're not gaining or they're losing, then we are gonna need to supplement with our puppy milk replacement to just make sure that our puppies are growing like they should and staying healthy. So every single day for 2 weeks, we actually weigh our puppies, and then we weigh weekly after that. So having a good scale is important to have in your kit.
Yes, very important. This scale is like a little hedgehog scale that I got, and I really like it for the tiny puppies because I feel like it registers a little bit better. And then we have a human baby scale that we'll generally use when they're a little bit bigger, and I've always actually used that for the tiny ones, but I have started to like this because I feel like it's just a tiny bit more accurate for those tiny ones. This is the Nemex.
So about 2 weeks, we do our deworming, start our deworming process.
And we use this brand, it's Nemex, we like it. We just dewormed, which is why we don't have it in here. Thermometers, so important. We take mama's temperature. Sometimes you can use a temperature to gauge labor. It's not always totally accurate, but usually when they drop below 100, you know that they're getting ready to go into labor. And also, if your mama's sick or throwing up or she's gone off of food or anything like that, taking their temp is so important.
You want to make sure they're safe.
Yep.
In the bottom of our whelping box, we usually like to put a light colored blanket. So this is when mama's going into labor. We're kind of watching. We're putting her in the whelping box, getting her used to the whelping box, getting her comfortable, giving her lots of love and attention. And then we have a white colored blanket usually is what we have in there. So then we can see, okay, are any fluids coming out? Now we know we're kind of very close to being in labor and are always constantly checking for that. Another thing we like to put in the bottom when we're whelping is these pads. They're like pee pads essentially. In the hospital they call them Chuck's pads. And this is to protect the blanket or whatever, or just keep things cleaner, because every puppy that comes out, it's very messy. So we'll put one right underneath and kind of stick it underneath her bottom and lift her up, put it underneath there. So when as a puppy comes out, we can pull the puppy, and then I'll also put one on my lap, because I'm going to pull that puppy onto my lap. I'm going to help it get out of its sack and suction the puppy, and then we can easily take the placenta, because we don't let our moms eat the placentas, just makes them sick a lot of times. We'll then just grab this and throw it in the trash, and we have a trash bag linked to that. Having a trash bag is really important. You want to throw everything away as you're going.
I don't have my bulb syringes in here because we're cleaning them right now because we did just whelp a litter. And so something that we keep in, I have 2 different sizes of clamps, and we'll use clamps. We'll clamp off the cord to the puppies, so that while we're tying off their umbilical cord with floss, we can make sure they're clamped.
Yep. So with the floss, I'll typically pull the floss out. You want to use, was it waxed floss? Yeah, because it makes it easier to hold. The unwaxed, it's really slippery. So I'll pull off like 5, or if I know there's 5 puppies, and make them ready to go and just set them right there, because it's kind of annoying when your puppy's out and you're waiting and you're trying to grab it. It's just easier to have on hand.
So we have the size of clamps this size, and all of my clamps are Breeder's Edge is the brand that we use.
And then we have the scissors as well to cut the cords.
Yep, and these are also Breeder's Edge. They're like these really cool umbilical scissors that just like the shape, and you can just cut, and they cut really well. So that's and then we do have bulb syringes, and we have some like veterinary grade lube that we'll use as well sometimes.
So Camry does work in a veterinary clinic, a reproduction clinic actually. So on occasion we have had to check and see where the puppies are and make sure that they're not stuck and that they're safe, and that's where that lube and gloves come in handy.
Yep. Yep.
So you can buy these on Amazon. It's Sterilite, like stackable what would you call it? Stackable case. It's like a craft case.
Yeah.
So I just bought one of those so we can keep all of our collars and stuff in it for my program. Yeah. So thanks so much for hanging out with us in our whelping box, learning about our whelping kit. Go out, and if you're looking to get into breeding, these are some great resources for you. Or if you just wanted to know what we do, and we're so thankful for you spending that time with us. And we hope to see you on our next live. We're going to be having some puppies born in May. So if you're interested in watching those, in May, kind of
May 11th.
May 11th is the due date, and then May 18th as well. So we would love to show you these in action. But thanks again for hanging out with us. We really appreciate you. Have a golden day.